I don't think it's been the best year for Apple's iPad by quite a long shot, but I do know what they need to do in 2023. The iPad is a weird, wonderful, brilliant, powerful, annoying, frustrating, and ultimately underachieving product for Apple. Despite this, I have been there since the start. I was one of those people who bought the very first iPad in 2010, and that's when it was literally just a massive iPhone. And ever since then, I've tried to work it into my personal and professional life, but it's never really stuck. The only exception to that rule is the iPad mini, which I still think is Apple's best iPad, but for me, it's mainly a digital notebook, which is a bit of an elaborate use case for such an expensive iPad. So in 2023, I think Apple needs to do quite a bit to untangle the mess of the iPad, and I've got 5 suggestions. Just a very quick word from today's sponsor, Paperlike. Now, if you know me, you know that I love the Paperlike screen protector. It's always on my iPad mini, and it turns this thing into something I want to write on. It's also great for illustrating, drawing. Basically, if you don't like the feeling of the Apple Pencil on the screen of your iPad, get a Paperlike. But they don't just do screen protectors, and today I want to show you 2 products from Paperlike, which I think you're going to love. The first is their brand new Digital Pro Planner. And if you're planning for 2023 now, this is perfect. You basically get 10 different planners with yearly, monthly, weekly, and daily pages onto which you can create to-do lists, set your top priorities, take notes, and loads more. The pages are hyperlinked, and the planner is designed to work with most note-taking apps, including my favorite, Notability. There's loads more features, and you get lifetime free updates as well. But the best news is, if you buy any piece of Paperlike hardware from their website between now and the end of January, you get the Digital Pro Planner completely free of charge. The second product is this, which is a Paperlike pencil grip that's been made in conjunction with the fantastic YouTuber and designer Canoopsy. If you haven't used one of these Paperlike pencil grips before, they do what they say on the tin. They're fantastic. They basically make the Apple Pencil more grippy. And partnering with Canoopsy was such a good idea. His mark is all over this pencil grip. I love the colour, I love the feel of it, but it is in limited quantities. So if you want to grab one of these or any of Paperlike's products and get that free Digital Pro Planner, click the link in my description. Right, on to the 5 things that Apple needs to do with the iPad in 2023. The first one, I am a bit of a broken record about, I freely admit, but I don't care, and it's all to do with bringing Final Cut Pro to the iPad. This is a selfish request, and I know it only relates to quite a small percentage of iPad owners and users, but I don't understand why Apple puts an M1 chip and then an M2 chip into the iPad Pro and doesn't launch their own video editing software for that device. Worse still, they've handed the mantle over to a competing product, which is DaVinci Resolve. That app is coming to the M2 iPad Pro before Apple's own video editing suite. Why put all of this effort into creating the best tablet on the market, the most powerful tablet on the market, with a barnstorming display, only to allow a competitor to beat you to the post? We've had desktop class power in the iPad Pro for ages now, and Apple has the perfect opportunity to create a brilliant mobile video editing device. I know there's loads of DaVinci users out there who are delighted with this news, and I'm genuinely happy for them. But for the people who use Final Cut Pro, 2023 is the year we need to see that, Tim. Please. Second on my list is the need to sort out the 9th and 10th generation iPad mess. Now, since I featured the weird 10th generation iPad on this channel, quite a few people have got back to me and said, actually, that is the iPad for me. They like the new design, they're not that fussed about the price, funnily enough, they love the Magic Keyboard Folio, and they don't even care that it's only compatible with the 1st generation Apple Pencil. I still think it's a weird iPad, but that's only because of its price, the pencil compatibility, but also because that 9th generation iPad still exists. And just to be clear, that 9th generation iPad is priced perfectly, it's positioned perfectly, and that is why it's so popular with people who don't want the latest and greatest, schools, education, businesses. It's just a brilliant entry-level iPad, but it is confused by that 10th generation. And what I'd love to see next year, I don't think this will happen, but what I'd love to see is the 9th generation removed and the 10th generation bumped down in terms of pricing. I don't know how they're going to do that, and like I say, I don't think they will, but I just think a lot of the buying confusion starts with that 9th and 10th generation iPad lineup, and that's also where a massive part of the market resides. Number 3 on my list relates to the iPad mini, and I would love to see some fairly big updates to this next year. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my favourite ever iPad. I depend on it most days, but I do think there are 3 changes Apple can make. The first one is ProMotion. I think the price people pay for this iPad mini, particularly when you start adding storage, deserves a better display. The sharpness, the brightness, the colour is all fine, but the fact that it doesn't have that ProMotion 120Hz refresh rate does make it feel a little bit sluggish at times, which is ridiculous because this isn't a sluggish iPad. The second thing is another lens. You just get the standard zoom lens with this, but because this is quite it's a very small iPad, it does lend itself to photography quite nicely. I'd love just to see perhaps the telephoto or maybe the wide angle. Because for a lot of people, including me, I think this can replace the iPhone occasionally when it comes to photography. And thirdly, this might sound weird, I would absolutely love to see a Magic Keyboard for the iPad mini. I wouldn't write novels with it, but I would use it for blogging, email, general admin and that sort of stuff. And it wouldn't need a trackpad because that would be ridiculous. Just a Apple designed, no Bluetooth faffing around Magic Keyboard for the iPad mini would be amazing. Number 4 relates to this. No, not the 10th generation iPad, the Magic Keyboard Folio. I think this is one of Apple's stealth hits of the year. This is for several reasons. The first one being the Microsoft Surface-like kickstand, which pops out like that. This is the right way to do it. I think it's Apple kind of saying, hands up, we got it wrong originally with the original Magic Keyboard. We know that Microsoft did it properly. They'll never say that, but that is what this is about. Secondly, you can detach it. You can take the keyboard bit off, which is just handy because it means you can put that away and just use it as an iPad. And thirdly, it has a function row key at the top, which we've always wanted, and it gives us access to things like screen brightness, media controls, escape. We should have had this. Well, we should have had it on the Magic Keyboard. And this is my point, and this is the big problem with the Magic Keyboard Folio. At the moment, it's only compatible with the 10th generation iPad. Next year, we need to see this for the iPad Pro, the iPad Air, and yes, the iPad mini. The last thing on my list might be a little bit controversial, but basically I want Apple to remove completely the 11-inch iPad Pro from the lineup. And the reason is simple, it's because the iPad Air exists. If you've got a fairly decent budget for a normal sized iPad, there's nothing better than the iPad Air. The only thing it's missing is ProMotion and possibly a better camera. The fact that the 11-inch iPad Pro has the M2 chip makes no difference. The iPad Air has the M1 chip, which is already overpowered. And the 11-inch iPad Pro doesn't even have the same display technology as the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. It's a really strange product, and again, a little bit like the 9th and 10th generation confusion, there's quite a lot of confusion between the iPad Air and the 11-inch iPad Pro. There's also only a £230 difference between the two, and if you're spending north of 500 quid on an iPad already, that's not a huge amount of money. So get rid of the 11-inch iPad Pro, give the iPad Air ProMotion, a base storage of 128 gigabytes, and that will make so much more sense. And that would leave the 12.9-inch iPad Pro as the only true iPad Pro, which, let's be honest guys, it kind of is already. I don't think I'm asking too much from the iPad in 2023, am I? Let me know in the comments, but also let me know what you want from the iPad lineup next year. In the meantime, if you're thinking about buying an iPad right now and you need some help, keep watching for a link to my latest buying guide.